huyu mtu fulani dynasty hii, sijui dynasty hii.
Kenyattas have been a well-known wealthy family since the 60s, since Jomo Kenyatta assumed power.
Hii siasa si ya monarchy bana, hata sisi maskini tutazaa kiongozi wetu maskini.
Uhuru Kenyatta.
Domination of the politics of this country for over 55 years by a few political families, or we want all Kenyans to be players.
Every dynasty has its own dawn, and every empire its dusk. From the shadow of Mount Kenya rose a name that will define our nation. Kenyatta, the father of the Republic of Kenya. Mzee Jomo Kenyatta stitched his family into the very fabric of Kenya's statehood. Land, wealth, and politics became the pillars of their power.
They are cultivating a protest vote against the dynasties.
The Kenyatta Dynasty. The dynasty that once seemed immovable now stands on shifting sands. Their enemies sharpen their blades, their friends grow fewer, and the people whisper,
"Is this the end of the Kenyatta reign?"
And as the African proverb reminds us, however tall the tree grows, the leaves must one day fall.
Jomo Kenyatta is a very big big and very significant historical figure in Kenya.
This is not just the story of our family. It is the story of our nation wrestling with its past, its present, and its uncertain future. From the land they own to the politics they shape, to the battles they now fight in silence, the Kenyatta dynasty is re-evaluated before our own eyes. History remembers power, but it never forgets its decline, and perhaps, just perhaps, we are witnessing the fall of Kenya's greatest dynasty. For in the words of another proverb, when the drumbeat changes, the dance must also change. Before we begin this journey through time and power, hit that subscription button and join us as we uncover the truths others fear to speak.
Sema ni dynasty baya. Asara tawala.
The Kenyatta Dynasty, once untouchable, once immovable. The Kenyatta Dynasty now finds itself walking on shifting sands. From the bustling streets of Nairobi to the fertile fields of central Kenya, whispers are growing louder. The house of Kenyatta is not what it once was.
Msituletee ujinga hapa.
Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was the son of Jomo, heir of the nation. He bowed out of the office in 2022, leaving behind a legacy as contested as it is remembered. The man who once sat on the highest throne of Kenya now fights his wars from the shadows. Land disputes, political betrayals, dwindling allies. The dynasty that shaped Kenya's statehood now questions its own survival.
Huyu mtu fulani dynasty hii, sijui dynasty hii. It's not about that. Leadership is not about where you were born.
The 2022 Kenya's general election was not just a loss for Raila Odinga, whom Uhuru had supported. It was a public humiliation for the Kenyatta name. William Ruto, once Uhuru's deputy and later his fiercest rival, he rose to power on the hustler narrative. He declared the end of the dynasties and the dawn for a new Kenya. For the first time in 60 years, the Kenyatta family found itself out of state house, out of favor, out of power.
The gentleman who did not have shoes is sitting at the high table with the son of the founding father.
William Ruto's hustler narrative punished the dynasty, and the punishment was very swift. Their businesses, from Brookside Diaries to media interests, these came under fire. Tax disputes mounted, political allies scattered, Even in Mount Kenya, the Kenyattas' traditional fortress, the ground had shifted. The people who once worshipped the family name now found new hope in Ruto's hustler gospel.
William Samuel Arap Ruto.
The days of dynasty are gone. We want to have leaders who are self-made. Sidi namna hiyo.
So we elected Uhuru because he's son of Kenyatta. Nobody votes for Raila Odinga because he's son of Oginga Odinga.
To understand the Kenyatta dynasty, one must return to the beginning, to the dawn of independence in 1963. This is when Jomo Kenyatta became the founding father of the nation. He was hailed as Mzee, the wise elder. Jomo emerged from the shadows of colonial imprisonment to lead Kenya into freedom. Yet, freedom in Jomo's hands also became opportunity for power, for wealth, and for dynasty.
Is that the family had invested in offshore structures.
And in those early years stood a man called Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. This was Jomo's chosen successor, a quiet teacher turned politician. Moi, though not of blood, was tied to the dynasty by loyalty and political calculation. Jomo positioned Moi as a vice president, ensuring that the dynasty's interests will be safe long after his own death. And in 1978, when Mzee Jomo passed away, Moi rose to power. This ensured that he was keeping the Kenyatta family's influence intact while building his own Moi empire. An African proverb tells that he who marries beauty marries trouble. And so it was Moi's bond with the Kenyattas. This was one of both protection and rivalry, shaping Kenya's politics for decades to come. If politics gave the Kenyattas power, business gave them immorality. For behind every speech, every campaign, every handshake stood an empire of wealth, so vast that it blurred the line between state and family. The crown jewel was land. Hundreds of thousands of acres scattered across Kenya, from the fertile slopes of Mount Kenya to Laikipia's ranches to the sunlight of the coast. In whispers, it is said that the Kenyattas own more land than the some counties combined. From land came milk, Brookside Dairies. The family's flagship grew to dominate the dairy market, barring out rivals and expanding across East Africa. Every glass of milk on the Kenyan breakfast table, many believed it carried the invisible stamp of Kenyatta's power. The Kenyatta dynasty was not built in silence. Critics call it a product of favorism, state privilege, and insider deals. Supporters hail it as a vision and enterprise, but in truth, it was both. For the Kenyattas had mastered the art of turning political dominance into economic dominion. A proverb whispers that when the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. The Kenyattas had believed their wealth made them untouchable, but history would soon test that belief. In 2013, the Kenyatta name returned to State House. This was a long period after the Moi's dynasty, 24 years to be exact. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, polished, wealthy and seemingly untouchable, he was sworn in as Kenya's fourth president. To many, his rise was the ultimate proof that the dynasty still ruled both land and people. His first term brought infrastructure, roads, railways, and projects that reshaped skylines. But it also brought debt, scandals, and corruption, whispers that never truly faded. By his second term, Uhuru's power was less about vision and more about survival. Now here lies the truth. The Kenyatta Dynasty no longer dictates the nation's rhythm. Once they wrote the script of Kenya's tomorrow, today they are mere actors in a play directed by others. Their power, once towering, it is now contested, exposed, and re-evaluated. An old proverb says, even the finest cloth will wear out with the time. And perhaps the Kenyatta Dynasty is learning that no empire, however vast, is immune to the erosion of history. And so the question remains, what is the future for the Kenyatta Dynasty? Will Jomo Jr., youthful and untested, step into the arena and reclaim the family's crown? Will Ngina Kenyatta, the quiet daughter, rise as a new voice in a changing Kenya? Or is the dynasty destined to fade, remembered only in history books and whispered in political folklore? The mountain has new kingpins. Gachagua, Ruto, and others are now dancing to the people's rhythm. The Kenyattas, once authors of Kenya's script, they are now uncertain characters in a new chapter they did not write. As the proverb warns, when the sun sets, even no candle can replace its light. Perhaps the sun of the Kenyattas has set, or perhaps, just perhaps, it waits for another dawn. This is the Red Mic.